Hello, dear students. Hello, grade 3. Let's start lesson 5 with its new vocabularies and new reading passage. And now let's start. We will take new reading passage. Its title is Roberto Clemente. Its genre is a biography. So, a biography means an author tells about a person's life. So, here we will have a writer. This writer is telling us about the life of Roberto Clemente. On an island called Puerto Rico, where baseball players are plentiful as tropical flowers in a rainforest, there was a boy who had very little but a fever to play and win at baseball. He had no money. He was so poor for a baseball bat, so he made one from a guava tree branch. His first glove he also made from the cloth of a coffee bean sack. His first baseball field was muddy and crowded with palm trees. For batting practice, he used empty soap cans and hid them farther than anyone else. Soap cans turned into softballs, softballs turned into baseballs, Little League turned into minor league, turned into Winter League professional baseball in Puerto Rico. So here we're having a poor little child who is trying to play baseball and he's trying to use the materials around him to make a game or to practice playing baseball from the materials he have. For example, he made a ball from can and he made his bat from tree branches, and he was playing in muddy playground. So he was using the materials around him just to play baseball because he is in love with baseball games. He played so well. He received an invitation to play in the major leagues in America. What an honor! But the young man was sent to a steel mill town called Pittsburgh. So, first he was sent to Pittsburgh in America and he was playing in a team. It's called Pirates. And the Pirates team was in the last place. They are always losing. So, what will happen now? This was something very strange for him because he's playing in a losing team. He didn't choose to be in losing teams. He was always used to win. So, for a young Puerto Rican, everything was strange. Instead of palm trees, he saw smokestacks. Instead of Spanish, he heard English. Instead of being somebody, he was nobody. He was feeling strange and lonely all time because everything around him is new for him. So, his first time at bat, he heard the announcer stumble through his Spanish name, Robert, let's see. He can't pronounce his name. It echoed in the near empty stands. Roberto Clemente was his name, and this is pronounced Roberto Clemente. As if to introduce himself, Roberto smacked the very first pitch. So here we're having Roberto introducing himself to everyone around him because he was Spanish and his name was strange for everyone and he was not popular enough or famous enough to be known. So he's introducing himself and he's trying to make everybody around pronounce his name by making it easier for pronunciation by cutting his name into pieces. Rio, Bear, Tue, Clemente. But it went right up in the infield and into the second baseman's glove. Still Roberto ran like lightning and beat the throw to first base. The Portuguese fans checked their scorecards. Who was this guy, Roberto Clemente? So, after the people saw him playing very well in the baseball team, people started to ask, who is this guy? Who is Roberto Clemente? They began to ask about him. They want to know him more. To his new fans in Pittsburgh, Roberto was like a jolt of electricity. He was so active. He was so skillful player. So they were describing him as a jolt of electricity, as if he's as strong as electricity. He could score from first base on a single. He could hit line drives, bunts, towering home runs, sacrifice flies, whatever was needed. Once he even scored an inside the park grand slam, playing right field. He had no equal. He was always leaping, driving, crashing, rolling once. Trying to catch a pop fly running full speed, he slammed into the right field wall and fell to the ground. So here we're having Roberto doing his best. He's playing as hard as he can. He's jumping, he's running, he's going there and there just to play baseball as hard as he can. And he is doing his best in the field just to score more goals as he can. But it wasn't just how he played, he had a style. He was cool. So he was having after every match he win, he was having يعني just like an activity he do by his neck. He was moving his neck right and left. He had this move he did with his neck before each at bat, creaking it one way, then the other. Soon kids who wanted to be just like Roberto were doing it too, twisting their necks this way and that. Roberto did it to ease the pain he felt from playing his heart out in every game. If you don't try as hard as you can, he said, you are wasting your life. So he was always repeating, if you didn't do your best, if you don't try as hard as you can, you are wasting your life, you're wasting your time. So Roberto tried so hard. He helped the last place Pirate make it all way to the World Series, where they beat the mighty New York Yankees. Here we're having his team celebrating by winning at the last match with New York Yankees. So they became a strong team. They are winning and beating the other strong teams. So after being the last team, they became the first team because of Roberto. After the series, down in the streets of Porto, Pittsburgh, Roberto walked along alone among his fans. They were so busy celebrating, they didn't even notice him. That didn't bother Robert. He was happy to feel lost in the crowd of a party he had hoped to create. So he was a good person. He has good morals. He didn't feel that he is selfish. He wants everyone to celebrate him only. No, he was happy that he was a part from this celebration. He took part in making this celebration and make all people feeling happy because of the winning team. But there was something that would have made Roberto's joy a little sweeter. As much as fans loved him, the newspaper rights didn't. When Roberto was in such pain he couldn't play, they called him lazy. Here all of us are having ups and downs, but in his most tiring time of his life, the newspaper were writing about him that he is a lazy person. He can't play. He is lazy. They mocked his Spanish accent. They started to mock his Spanish accent and he got angry. The mainly white newsmen called him Latino hothead. So they began to mock at him, and this made him feel angry and sad. When he returned to Pittsburgh come spring, baseballs looked huge, and he clobbered them as never before. That reason he had 351, the highest batting average in the National League, and he still didn't get the credit he deserved for being a great. It's because I'm black, isn't it? He asked sneering reporters. It's because I'm Puerto Rican? It's because I'm proud? So at a time, he began to feel that he's neglected, he's ignored by all people. No one talk about him. He began to ask reporters, is that because I'm black? Is that because I'm Spanish? Why you don't write about me? Why are you ignoring me? So he began to feel lonely and sad because he's doing a lot, but with no one to cheer him, with no one to celebrate his achievements, so he began to feel lonely and sad. The year was 1971. The Pirates were in the World Series again, playing against the Baltimore Orioles, who were favored to win. All around America and Puerto Rico, people sat watching on TV as Roberto put on one-man show, stealing bases, hitting home runs, playing right field with a fire most fans had never seen before. Finally, it couldn't be denied. Roberto was the greatest all-around baseball player of his time, maybe of all time. So finally, here we're having all the newspapers and TVs celebrating Roberto. Finally, he is now popular and known all around America. The very next year, he did something few have ever done. During the last game of the season, Roberto walked to the plate, creaked his neck, dug in his stain, stuck his chin toward the pitcher, and walled a line drive off the center field wall, his 3,000th hit. The crowd cheered, and they wouldn't stop cheering for many minutes. The players stopped playing, and Roberto stood on his second base, amazed how far he had come. He played the last game of the season very well, and he started to feel astonished and surprised how beautiful his playing was. He's becoming great player, and all the people were feeling amazed by his great achievements in the baseball game. At last, and unfortunately, he was gone. He was died because he was going to travel by a plane. He was going to help poor people that suffered from earthquakes, and unfortunately, the plane fall down, and he passed away. But he Finally, the story doesn't end here when someone like Roberto dies. His spirit lives on the hearts of all he touches. And Roberto's spirit is still growing. It grows in the bats and gloves and arms and legs of all the Latino baseball players who have fluted into the major leagues. His spirit is still here with all players. His spirit is still alive. And that was the end of our story. Let's read together the new vocabularies. We have stands. This man is standing in this picture. Can you see this man? Peanut vendors walk up and down through the stands at the baseball games. Stands also means places you can stand to watch a match, for example. Fans. Happy fans cheer when players on their favorite teams play well. Score. Soccer players must work together to score a goal and earn 1 point. League. These volleyball players are in a league or group of teams. Slammed. This player slammed the puck so hard that it went straight into the net. Slam. Slam means to hit hard. Polish. Before bowlers play a game, they may polish the ball to remove any dust. Polish. And style. This fan has her own special style. It's a clever way to show them spirit. Pronounced. The announcer pronounced or said each player's name loudly and clearly. Pronounced means to say. Okay. Thank you so much for good watching and wait for the next video with grammar and writing and see you soon. Thank you.